High school is like one big, and I'm not even an extra. I'm the set furniture, the nondescript desk in the corner that no one looks at twice. I've spent 3 years perfecting the art of invisibility. It's not a superpower or anything. I just don't draw attention to myself. I sit in the middle rows of classrooms, not close enough to the front to seem eager, but not far enough back to scream, I'm hiding! I dress in jeans and hoodies, blending into the sea of average. I don't talk unless someone talks to me first, which, let's be honest, is rare, and I'm fine with it. Really. Who wants to be part of the drama anyway? But then there's Jason Carter. You know the type. Football star. Laugh that sounds like it came straight out of a rom-com, and cheekbones so sharp they could cut glass. He's the guy who gets voted prom king before prom even happens. The one every teacher praises, every student adores, and every girl, not so secretly, daydreams about. Including me. Not that it matters. To Jason Carter, I'm less than invisible. I'm air. I sit at my usual lunch spot, the library. It's quiet, and I can read in peace without worrying about making awkward small talk or pretending to enjoy cafeteria food. My best friend, Maddie, doesn't get it. She's always dragging me into her whirlwind of activities, claiming I'm too young to be a hermit. Today, though, Maddie's busy doing Maddie things, which leaves me alone to indulge in my daily tradition, watching Jason Carter through the window. I'm not stalking him, okay? He just happens to hang out on the quad, which I can see perfectly from my seat. He's laughing with his friends, probably making some charming joke that I'll never hear. His girlfriend, Brianna, is glued to his side as usual, her perfectly manicured hand resting possessively on his arm. They look like they stepped out of a teen drama. Meanwhile, I'm in here, eating a PB&J and wondering why I ever thought unrequited crushes were romantic. Spoiler alert, they're not. They're just painful. Still staring at your Prince Charming? I see. I nearly choke on my sandwich as Maddie plops into the chair across from me. I'm not staring, I lie, quickly looking down at my book. Maddie snorts. Right, and I'm not wearing sneakers. I glance at her feet. She is, in fact, wearing sneakers. Bright pink ones. Whatever, I mumble. Maddie leans forward, her dark curls bouncing with excitement. Okay, so hear me out. Prom is next week, and... Nope, I say, cutting her off. You didn't even let me finish. Because I know what you're going to say. You want me to go to prom, and I don't want to go. Maddie groans, throwing her hands in the air. Lucy, you're killing me. This is our junior year prom. You can't just skip it. Sure, I can, I say, taking another bite of my sandwich. You're going, Maddie declares, pointing a finger at me like she's sentencing me to death. I'll find you the perfect dress, and we'll make Jason Carter see what he's been missing. I laugh. Yeah, right. Jason Carter doesn't even know I exist. Not yet, Maddie says with a wicked grin. The week leading up to prom is a blur of glitter, chaos, and Maddie's relentless determination to drag me into the madness. You're coming, she says for the 100th time as we stand in a crowded boutique, surrounded by dresses that look like they were plucked from a princess's closet. I'm not, I reply, flipping through a rack of dresses without really looking at them. You're going, she counters, holding up a sequined monstrosity that might actually blind someone. And you're wearing this. I stare at the dress. It's pink. Neon pink. The kind of pink that screams, look at me! Maddie, that dress has more sparkles than a disco ball, I say, stepping back like it might attack me. Exactly. You'll be the center of attention. That's literally the opposite of what I want, I mutter, pulling a plain blue dress off the rack. Maddie grabs the dress and tosses it back. Nope, not happening. You're not blending into the background this time. I sigh, already regretting agreeing to come shopping with her. Why does this matter so much to you? Because you're my best friend, Lucy, she says, her tone softening. And you deserve to have fun for once. High school isn't just about grades and flying under the radar. It's about moments. Memories. You know, the stuff you'll tell your grandkids about someday. I roll my eyes but can't help smiling a little. Maddie has a way of making everything sound like a motivational speech. By the time we leave the boutique, Maddie has somehow convinced me to buy a dress. A simple but elegant emerald green gown that, admittedly, makes me feel kind of pretty. I told you green was your color, Maddie says as we walk out of the store. Yeah, I mumble, trying to hide my smile. Now, all we need to do is figure out your hair, makeup, and shoes. Oh, and maybe teach you how to walk in heels without looking like a baby giraffe. Thanks for the vote of confidence, I say dryly. Anytime, Maddie replies with a wink. Meanwhile, the school is buzzing with prom fever. Every conversation in the hallways revolves around dresses, dates, and drama. Jason and Brianna, of course, are the center of attention. She's going to look amazing, I overhear someone saying about Brianna as I walk to class. Yeah, but did you see Jason's tux? They're going to be the hottest couple there. I roll my eyes, tuning out the chatter. It's not like I care what Jason and Brianna wear, or how perfect they look together, or how Jason smiles at her like she's the only person in the room. Okay, maybe I care a little, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to prom to impress Jason Carter. I'm going because Maddie won't let me skip it. At least, that's what I keep telling myself. Prom night is only a few days away, and Maddie is in full-on drill sergeant mode. She's planned every detail, from the car we're taking to the playlist we'll listen to on the way. Are you excited? She asks as we sit in my room, painting our nails. Terrified is more accurate, I reply, staring at the green polish Maddie insisted would match my dress. Relax, she says, waving a hand. It's just a dance. Worst case scenario, we eat too much cake and leave early. Best case scenario? I ask, raising an eyebrow. You slow dance with Jason Carter, and he realizes you're the one he's been looking for all along, she says dramatically, clasping her hands like she's in a rom-com. I snort. Yeah, because that's totally realistic. Hey, stranger things have happened, Maddie says with a shrug, and you never know, Lucy. This could be your moment. Prom night arrives, and my stomach feels like it's hosting a gymnastics competition. Maddie, on the other hand, is practically vibrating with excitement as she helps me zip up my dress. You look amazing, she says, stepping back to admire her handiwork. I glance at myself in the mirror, and for once, I don't hate what I see. The emerald green dress hugs my figure in all the right places, and Maddie's makeup skills have somehow transformed my usually plain face into something less plain. Thanks, I mumble, tugging at the hem of the dress. Maddie smacks my hand away. Stop fidgeting. You're gonna knock Jason Carter off his feet tonight. I roll my eyes. Let's not get carried away. The prom venue is a whirlwind of lights, music, and glitter. Maddie drags me onto the dance floor the second we arrive, but I spend most of the time swaying awkwardly and trying not to step on anyone's toes. Jason is easy to spot. He's in the center of the room, of course, wearing a tux that probably costs more than my entire wardrobe. Brianna is glued to his side, looking like a literal Barbie doll in a sparkling silver gown. I try not to stare, but Maddie notices anyway. Go talk to him, she says, nudging me. Are you insane? I whisper yell. He's with Brianna. So, you don't have to profess your undying love or anything. Just say hi. No way, I say, shaking my head. I'm not doing that. Maddie sighs. Fine, but you can't just stand here all night, Lucy. Have some fun. I try. I really do. But the whole night feels like one big reminder that I don't belong here. I'm just about to tell Maddie I'm ready to leave when disaster strikes. I'm making my way back to our table when I feel someone bump into me from behind. The next thing I know, a waiter carrying a massive punch bowl stumbles into me, and the bowl tips over, right onto Jason Carter. Time slows down. The punch, bright red and sticky, soaks through his pristine white shirt and splatters onto Brianna's dress. There's a collective gasp from the crowd as everyone turns to stare. Oh my God, I whisper, my face burning with mortification. I'm so sorry. Jason looks down at his ruined shirt, his mouth twitching like he's trying to decide whether to laugh or yell. Brianna, however, has no such hesitation. Are you serious? She screeches, glaring at me like I've just committed a crime. Do you have any idea how much this dress costs? I didn't mean to. I stammer, but she cuts me off. Whatever, she snaps, grabbing her clutch. I'm done. Jason, I'll be in the car. She storms off, leaving Jason standing there in his soaking wet shirt. I brace myself for the inevitable scolding, but instead, Jason lets out a laugh. A genuine, warm laugh that catches me completely off guard. Well, he says, looking down at his shirt, I guess I'll have to rethink my dry cleaner. I blink at him, unsure if he's being sarcastic or genuinely not mad. I'm really sorry, I say again. He waves a hand. It's fine. Honestly, I needed an excuse to ditch this thing anyway. I glance around at the crowd, which has already started losing interest and going back to their dancing. You didn't seem like you were having a bad time, I say cautiously. Jason shrugs. It's prom. It's supposed to be a big deal, right? But honestly, it's just a lot. Before I can stop myself, I blurt out, "You seemed like you were having fun with Brianna." He raises an eyebrow, his smile turning wry. Yeah, Brianna's great. But I don't know. Sometimes I think people expect me to be someone I'm not. I don't know what to say to that, so I stay quiet. Jason glances at the dance floor, then back at me. Hey, he says, holding out a hand. How about a dance? I blink at him. What? A dance, he repeats, grinning. Unless you're worried, I'll drip punch on you. Before I can talk myself out of it, I take his hand. The next thing I know, we're on the dance floor, and Jason Carter is spinning me around like we're in a scene from a cheesy rom-com. And for the first time all night, I'm not invisible. Let me set the record straight. This wasn't how I envisioned prom. Actually, I hadn't envisioned prom at all. But if I had, it wouldn't have included me dancing with Jason Carter under a sticky, punch-stained cloud of awkwardness. Yet, here we were, swaying to a slow song as the room spun in a haze of glitter and soft lighting. You don't have to do this, you know, I said, glancing up at Jason. Do what? He asked, his grin lazy and unaffected. Pity dance with the girl who just ruined your prom night. Jason chuckled, shaking his head. Trust me, Lucy, this night needed a shake-up. You might have just saved it. My heart skipped a beat. Did he just call me by my name? Jason Carter knew my name? I filed the moment away to overanalyze later. As we danced, I couldn't help but notice how surprisingly normal he seemed. The perfect Jason Carter, king of the high school social pyramid, wasn't making a big show of things. He wasn't even trying to draw attention. You're really good at this, I said, instantly regretting it. Who compliments someone on their dancing during a slow song? Jason smirked. Good at what? Swaying back and forth? No, I mean, being charming, I mumbled, feeling my cheeks heat. Charming? He echoed, tilting his head like he was considering the word. You make it sound like a magic trick. Isn't it? I asked before I could stop myself. For a second, Jason looked at me like I'd said something important, though I couldn't imagine what it was. Then he smiled again, but this one was different. Softer. Sometimes, he said quietly, it feels like one. The music shifted into something more upbeat, and Jason stepped back, running a hand through his still damp hair. Thanks for the dance, Lucy. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. Thanks for not yelling at me. He laughed. You're not as invisible as you think, you know? Before I could process what he meant, he walked off, disappearing into the crowd. I returned to the table where Maddie was waiting, practically vibrating with excitement. You danced with him, she squealed, grabbing my arm. Technically, he danced with me, I corrected, sinking into my chair. Semantics, she said, waving a hand. What did he say? Was he nice? Did he ask for your number? Tell me everything. I recounted the whole encounter, and Maddie hung on to every word like it was a soap opera plot twist. He knows your name, she said dreamily. Lucy, this is your moment. It's not a moment, I said, though my heart didn't quite believe it. It's just a dance. That's all. Maddie raised an eyebrow. If you say so. But for the record, I think Jason Carter might have a thing for you. I snorted. Yeah, sure. Jason Carter has a thing for me, and I'm secretly the Queen of England. But deep down, a tiny, irrational part of me couldn't help hoping Maddie was right. As the night wore on, the prom shifted into its predictable rhythm. The upbeat music was blaring again. Couples were back on the dance floor, and the room buzzed with laughter and chatter. But I didn't feel like laughing or dancing. Jason had gone back to his group of friends, his tux jacket slung over his shoulder like something out of a magazine. Brianna had reappeared, her perfect pout firmly back in place as she clung to his arm. And me? I was sitting at the edge of the room, nursing a glass of water Maddie had shoved into my hand and trying not to feel like an idiot. You okay? Maddie asked, plopping down next to me. Her face was flushed from dancing, her curls slightly frizzed but still adorable in that Maddie way. Fine, I said, which was a lie. You don't look fine, she pressed, studying me like a particularly tricky math problem. I sighed, running a hand over my dress. I don't know, Maddie. It's just, he danced with me, and for a second, I don't know what I thought, but now he's back with Brianna, and I'm just me, the invisible girl. Maddie frowned, her expression softening. You're not invisible, Lucy. You've never been invisible. You just think you are. I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off. Look, she said, leaning forward, you got Jason Carter to dance with you tonight. That's not nothing, but you're so busy worrying about what he thinks of you that you're not even seeing yourself. Her words hit harder than I expected. What's that supposed to mean? It means you don't need Jason Carter or anyone else to prove you matter, Maddie said firmly. You've been waiting for someone to notice you, but Lucy, you have to notice yourself first. I sat with that for a moment, letting her words sink in. Maddie had a point, even if I didn't want to admit it. For years, I'd been stuck in this loop of daydreaming about Jason Carter, convinced that if he just looked my way, it would fix everything. But the truth was, Jason didn't hold the magic answer. He was just a guy. A nice guy, sure, but a guy. And maybe Maddie was right. Maybe it was time I stopped hiding in the shadows and waiting for someone else to pull me into the light. Thanks, Maddie, I said, giving her a small smile. Anytime, she said, bumping my shoulder. Now, come on, let's dance before this night is over. I hesitated, glancing back at the dance floor where Jason and Brianna were swaying together. The old me might have stayed seated, too afraid to move. But tonight, I stood up. Okay, I said, grabbing her hand. Let's dance. The rest of the night passed in a blur of music, laughter, and Maddie's terrible but enthusiastic dance moves. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about Jason Carter or who was watching me. I was just being me, and it felt good. The Monday after prom, the hallways of our high school were buzzing with the usual post-prom chatter. Who wore what, who left with whom, and of course, who was crowned prom king and queen. Spoiler, Jason and Brianna, because of course they were. I walked into school expecting to slip back into my usual routine of invisibility. After all, prom was just one night, a glittering, surreal blip in the timeline of my otherwise unremarkable high school career. But something was different. Hey, Lucy. The voice stopped me in my tracks. I turned to see Jason Carter standing by his locker, smiling at me like it was the most normal thing in the world. Oh, hi, I said, my voice squeaking slightly. He leaned casually against the locker, looking every bit the high school heartthrob. I never got to thank you for saving prom. Saving prom? I repeated, raising an eyebrow. Yeah, he said with a grin. Between the punch incident and our dance, you made it a lot more interesting than it would have been otherwise. I felt my cheeks heat. Well, I'm glad my clumsiness could add to your evening. Jason laughed, the sound warm and genuine. Seriously, though, I had fun, and I meant what I said the other night. You're not as invisible as you think. Before I could respond, Brianna appeared out of nowhere, wrapping her perfectly manicured hand around Jason's arm. There you are, she said, her voice sugary sweet but laced with annoyance. Her eyes flicked to me briefly, dismissively, before she tugged him away. We're gonna be late. Jason gave me a small wave as she dragged him off. And just like that, the moment was over. I stood there for a second, staring at the empty space where he'd been. A part of me wanted to scream at Brianna for always stealing the spotlight, but another part of me, the part that was finally starting to listen to Maddie's advice, realized it didn't matter. Jason had noticed me. He'd spoken to me, danced with me, and even smiled at me in the hallway. And while I'd spent years thinking that was all I wanted, I now knew it wasn't the magic solution I'd built it up to be. At lunch, I found Maddie waiting for me at our usual table, scrolling through her phone. You look like you just saw a ghost, she said, raising an eyebrow. Jason Carter talked to me, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. Maddie's jaw dropped. What? When? What did he say? Was it romantic? Did he confess his undying love? I laughed, shaking my head. Nothing like that. He just thanked me for saving prom and said I wasn't invisible. Maddie grinned. See, I told you he'd notice you. Yeah, you did, I said, my smile fading slightly. But you know what? I think I'm finally okay with not being the center of his world. I don't need Jason Carter to see me anymore. I just need to see myself. Maddie stared at me for a moment, then smiled. Look at you having a deep epiphany at lunch. I'm proud. Thanks, I said, rolling my eyes. But if you tell anyone, I'll deny it. As the weeks went on, I noticed more small shifts. I started raising my hand in class, joining conversations I'd usually avoid, and even signing up for a creative writing club I'd been too shy to join before. Jason smiled at me in the hallway a few more times, and while my heart still fluttered a little, it wasn't the same. The pedestal I'd put him on was gone, replaced by the realization that he was just a person, flawed and human, just like me. The story ends with a quiet, reflective moment. Me sitting on the steps of the school, watching the sun set over the football field. Maddie sits beside me, rambling about her plans for the summer, and I feel something I haven't felt in a long time: contentment. Being invisible wasn't so bad, I realized, because now I wasn't hiding anymore. And that was enough.